All right, Chris, how's it going, man?
Yeah, not bad. How about yourself?
I'm well, man. All is good. I know we were goofing off before we started recording this.
We were,
Well,
we were.
dude, thanks for doing this. And why don't we start with just who you are and where you're from and what you do?
Hey, so my producer name is Zodi, and I am a K-pop music producer and content creator coming from Brighton in the UK. It's on the south of the UK coast.
The big UK, right on, man.
Massive UK, yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, what were things like? And we've been working together. We're not done working together, but we've been working together since the end of last year. Um, just to set the stage here, what were things like in your production business before we worked together? Kind of the reason that you wanted to reach out and get some help. What were things like back then?
It was a struggle financially. So, like in regards to where I was in my career as a producer, content creator, it was great. But the financial side and the lifeblood of the whole situation was very up and down, and it was very unstable. So every month it was kind of going from month to month, like, oh man, how am I going to get paid? What should I do next month? And then the following month, and so on and so on. And it was just very, yeah, just very, I guess you could call it volatile. It's just just very up and down the whole time, and there was no stability really. So that was the main reason why I wanted to sign up to Dot Label.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's important to note that, like, on the surface, it looked really great, right? I mean, you got like you're an
Mm.
awesome content creator, awesome producer. You got a really healthy amount of I think it's close to 30,000 on YouTube now, but at the time it was around 20. Still,
Mm.
still big. So obviously it's continuing to grow. But even back then, like, awesome channel. You had a Discord community with other producers and creators kind of following along. But yeah, what was missing was just that kind of that business model, that little piece as to, okay, how do we convert this into into dollars, into income? Which is
Yeah,
good
man.
for me. It makes it easy because at least you're coming with the foundation and a lot of experience. That was good. So I think that's why we got
Yeah.
pretty quick changes going on. Well, what are things like now? Obviously, like I mentioned, we're not done work. We're still working together. We still got a couple
Mm.
months left, but obviously we made some quick progress, which was cool. What are things like now in the business as far as any wins you want to share, or just kind of what things are, what's different now?
I am booked up for the next 2-3 months, like, and that I've never been able to say that in my entire like music career. So that's probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
I know that our approach and your approach with me right off the bat was to just get money in the door as quickly as possible. And I know because of the YouTube channel and what I primarily do on YouTube is effectively music education, K-pop tutorials, reactions, uh, mindset blogs, and all this sort of stuff. You kind of came in with a bit more of a, well, why don't we try and get you mentoring and educating people and turning that more into like a business model to get some quick cash in through the door, and then still build up, the client base and start charging a bit more of the higher ticket items and productions. So like both of those things for me worked really, really quickly, and those are the things that kind of have stuck through even to this day, and I'm sure they'll stick through for a while. But that was the biggest thing. Sorry, did I answer the
Yeah.
question right there?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, that's totally great. Yeah, just so yeah, basically since you had an audience already,
Mm,
education's always the easiest thing to sell. And I knew you were good at, not everybody wants to do that or has to do that, but
yeah.
obviously I knew you were good at it because that's what a lot of your content's based around. You had a Discord with people in there and people that have already bought some products from you. So there was a little bit of a mailing list there from
Mm,
from YouTube and yeah. So the first thing was like, okay, how do we just sort of stop the bleeding
yeah.
and get some students, put them on a recurring lessons monthly, make them commit to, a couple months at a time. That way, I knew, okay, it pays back my fee, that you paid to work with me. And you can kind of breathe a little bit over the first couple months so that you could spend time on going after what the
Yeah.
main offer, which was your production stuff. And
Yeah, man. It was
Yeah.
crazy because I was already doing it, but I
Right.
wasn't doing. You completely came in and you repackaged the whole approach to it. And it was kind of, I was doing it sporadically, and you're like, no, well, what you want to do is lock people in for a bit more time, and
Yeah.
maybe do this and X, Y, Z, and like to give people context as well, like with Dan and Dark Label, it took me from selling products, earning passive income and revenue through YouTube and whatnot, whilst surviving, right? I figured it took me about a year and a half to save up for what Dark Label would have cost, and I broke even in a month and a half,
Yeah.
2 months tops. It was absolutely insane. Like how I could not believe how quick that really turned around. In all honesty, so that was yeah. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. Cause we had originally,
speaks volumes.
we originally met in like 2019, I
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
believe. Yeah. It was
yeah.
our
That's
first
right.
call. And then it
Yeah.
was like, made you an offer. You're like, cool, let me take the time I need to get the stuff together. And then boom, we were in.
Well, I was in your nest, wasn't I? Because I think I
Yep.
heard of you through, yeah, like Make Pop Music. And then, we did the sales call. I wasn't ready financially, and I didn't have the right headspace either, because I wanted to just purely focus on K-pop pitching to the majors, but not really much of a business model per se.
Right.
But then what I did is I just consumed all your content through the for what like what 19 we're in 2021, so 2 years worth of content I was consuming, mostly your podcast as well as when you would upload stuff on YouTube. So I was always kind of, I don't know, the trust just grew and grew and grew, and then yeah, and here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. And I think, yeah, pitching to the majors, that's awesome, right? And you do that, but it's like you have to be in a position where the bills can be paid. So then you don't have to
Mm.
worry about money. So then you can go into the pitching side with a whole different energy because it's like, well, I'm not going to starve if I don't get this. So, you can
Mm,
kind of detach from it a bit
definitely.
more emotionally and just go for it and put in the work on that side. With your production, what are you charging per song now?
It is, I think with the mix it's 2 grand,
Two
but generally
grand.
it
Cool.
fluctuates between 1,500 to 2 grand.
Awesome. Well, the next question, I think we kind of answered it already, so I won't really waste your time with that. But if there's something you want to add, basically the next question is obviously there's a lot of different options out there for getting help with your production business. Why Dark Label? I know you mentioned we met and you digested all the content for a period of a year and a half to 2 years, but I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add. If
No,
not,
not
cool.
really. I think
Yeah.
just generally, I think but I just basically trusted you
Right.
over
Yeah.
the last after those couple of years, and I wasn't ready initially, but it took a couple of years. And also, I think as well with Dark Label, you are very niche. Like and I am your target customer, and I felt like you just I don't know, you just spoke to me on a level that most people don't. So
Got it. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's a good lesson for those listening to this. It's like, I know the content stuff can seem weird or scary or like
Yeah.
whatever, but obviously you make content more than me. You're really the content creator on this call right now, but obviously I do a little bit. And yeah, that's how it works. It's just it's a window into your world. It's you put stuff out and you may not see stuff happening, but behind the scenes, like there's a guy like Chris watching, or someone else watching that it's like, oh man, I should hit that guy up. I should talk to him. And even if they're not ready, they continue to watch. They continue to, digest what you're putting out there. And that's built. That's like having in every time I release a podcast or a video and you see it, it's like me having another conversation with you. So sure, if that happens 20, 30, 40 times over a period of a year and a half, people start coming back. It's just making sure that the time aligns. So, and it's the
Yeah,
same in
definitely.
your business, right? You had people be like, "Oh, cool! I didn't even know that you worked with artists. Now I do. Awesome! I've been watching you for years." So,
Yeah. Yeah, and like a lot of them would say, we get on the calls and it'd be like, oh, they assume I'm too busy, and it's like, well, yeah, but I always have more room for more work, always looking, and you always have to make that clear. But I also think as well, like with what you were saying regarding the building up the trust in the podcast and stuff, it's like people generally are not ready to purchase straight away. They need time, like they need to earn a bit more, save a bit more, maybe come into some money in other ways. But then if you're constantly there reminding them, and this is what I do with my YouTube channel, it's the same philosophy. Like people rarely are ready to purchase now, but they're most likely to purchase in three months, 6 months to a year. But you just got to keep churning and keep putting
Yep.
that content out. Definitely.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on one thing there is I think there's another lesson in there as well.
Okay.
We try to always try to make these little testimonial interviews have some lessons in them too. Um, the whole thing about people, yeah, there was people that assume because you had like a little thing going on YouTube, you had a little bit of a buzz starting to build. Yeah, people assume that you were too busy to do that. It's the same thing I'll see with kind of bigger producers. Either people assume they're too busy or assume that they wouldn't work with them or that they're too expensive or that they don't take indie work or whatever it is. And I remember when I moved to Los Angeles, my recording mentor brought me out there, and we were having lunch with one of his friends. And these are guys that have been in the industry for 20 years, probably at that point. And I remember the guy, and this is when I was brand new. So I don't really, I just kind of remember him saying this. And at the time, it didn't really mean anything, but now it's interesting later. He was like, yeah, man, I'm kind of going through this weird thing where like I want independent work. I need independent work, but people just assume they can't afford me because I've done these other records. And I was like, what an interesting predicament to be in. So I know a lot of like established people are worried about like putting themselves out with content or saying like, hey, I've got spots open this month for records because they're afraid they're going to seem desperate or that people are going to assume that, oh, they must not be doing well if they're putting that out there. But it's smart to put it out there. You don't have to do it every day, but it's smart to put it out there because there's so many people following you that probably just they've made up stuff in their head like, oh, he's probably too busy for me. Oh, he's probably too expensive for me. Oh, he probably wouldn't want to work with independents because he's doing all this stuff. And a lot of times it's just not true. So anyway.
No, definitely. I agree. And I think, and off the back of what you're saying as well, like people change, man. And the thing is with content, it's pretty much evergreen, most of it, or I look at it as digital assets. You do the work 2 years ago and reap the benefits 3 years later. And like for example, those people could change initially you upload that video and people are like, oh, he's too busy, I can't work with him. But 2 years, 3 years down the line, that artist may have a completely different way of thinking and looking at it, and potentially they can come back to you. Like I'm still, I don't know, I'm still getting benefits from content I made 3 years ago, and people are chasing me up now about it.
And that's
sorry,
the beauty of YouTube, because it has that compounding effect where the other platforms may be a little quicker for getting conversations with artists, but as far as the long-term compounding effect, nothing comes close to YouTube. And I want to wrap this up. Usually I ask like at the end of this, hey, any advice you'd have for someone that was in your same position, not just, hey, hire Dan, but any advice. But I actually want to tweak it a little bit. I want to gear it more towards YouTube, because at some point you sat down in front of your computer and you're like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Right. And here it is later. I don't know exactly how many years you've been doing it, but 30,000, coming up on 30,000 subscribers, landing clients from it, 2K a song, have courses, have mentoring, a lot of different ways to make money now. What advice would you give to someone? And I promise I'm not just asking this for myself, but I just love to see more producers get into YouTube. A lot of them think it's too late, which that's totally not true. Go look at guy like you, very recent, Nathan Larson, who got 100,000 subs in a year, like last year. So like not 10 years ago. So like it's definitely still a thing. What advice would you have for a producer that's thinking, hey, maybe I want to get into this YouTube thing? What's maybe just some quick advice you'd tell them?
I think go for it, but I think you gotta, with YouTube and generally anything in life, you gotta find the little wins and enjoy those little wins, because all the data, the numbers, the views, the subscribers, all that stuff is so irrelevant. Like it really is. And it's contradictory because social media, we're judging everyone on numbers and statistics and data analytics. But at the end of the day, it's you on like a rainy Wednesday morning, waking up and trying to create something awesome and trying to do it every single day. Like none of that's going to matter. The money doesn't even matter eventually. Like it's just like, do you love it? Because the worst thing in the world is to get really good at something you don't love. Like because then that's all people want to talk to you about. That's all you're going to make money for, and all this sort of stuff. So I think the most important stage, if you're thinking of starting YouTube, is to find the small things that you really love, and just go all in on those little things. Same with music production, same with any sort of creative endeavor. I think you just got to find the small things that you really love and just go into it. I think another thing as well with YouTube and music production as well, a lot of it's trial and error. Write out 10 different ideas and then try all of them out. And then you'll find that, say, ideas 3 and 7 do a little bit better than all the rest of them. So trim the fat and put all your energy into ideas 3 and 7. You'll see that strategy on my YouTube channel. I did my first reaction, and that was the type of content that blew my channel up. So as you can see, about 80% of my content is reactions, with 20% trying more tutorial based and more deeper educational things. But as you can see, that's what blew the channel up. So I would say the same if you were thinking of starting YouTube, to really do that as well.
Yeah, because I've been getting into learning it recently, because it's kind of going to be a priority this year, starting probably quarter 2. And yeah, so it's taken me 3 years to get to about 3,500 subscribers, right? And I'm fortunate to have people like you in my circle, and Austin from Make Pop Music, and Adam Ivy and Nathan Larson, and guys that have great channels that I can ask questions to and stuff. But yeah, it's really you got to study like how it works, and Nathan had recommended Film Booth. That's a great channel to learn about video making and YouTube. I really like that one. So that's something people can check out. But yeah, if you want to go into, like, I was just kind of putting videos up, and some would do okay and most didn't. But now, as I'm learning like formats and different things and keeping attention and all this kind of stuff, I go back and look at my other stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, I had this all wrong. I mean, it got me to where it got me, but it's like, okay, now I get it. So I think the first part's always slow, and then it blows up. But kind of what you said, by having the reaction videos to the K-pop reaction videos, which are super fun to watch. If you go to AZODI on YouTube and just watch the reaction videos, it actually got me. You turned me into a K-pop fan. I never even got into that stuff, and like it's probably like at least 50% of what I listen to day to day now. I love it.
Awesome.
Just watching your reaction videos and how excited when some part would hit, But Nathan, and I'll credit him on this, he talks about like, yeah, you have videos like that kind of bring in the masses, because that's going to just get your channel flown on the algorithm. And then you have more of the middle of funnel, bottom of funnel videos that get more into the weeds, like for your ideal, client. Whether like for him, he sells production courses, same kind of thing for K-pop and producing. So it's interesting kind of going through that, but there is like it's not just randomly putting videos up. There is like a thing to it. And I've found that interesting. But
definitely, yeah, you want to cast the net wide and cater to the masses, and then as they go down the funnel, you get more niche, as you mentioned. For me, I use the YouTube channels top of funnel. If we go and start marketing talk, top of funnel to bring in the masses, but actually I filter a lot of them into the Discord community,
right?
And then that way it tends to attract a lot more of the music producers as opposed to just K-pop fans. But then what happens after that, they get into the funnel, we hang out on Discord, we do the monthly producer challenges, and I host the results on Twitch. I also do weekly feedback streams, because one of the most common questions I get asked is, can you listen to my music and give me feedback, right? So I thought, well, if I do that every week, so that way I'm kind of catering to the real smaller niche and people. It's important to have everyone, but there's a certain group within that niche that are like effectively the target customer. But I've got a shout out to Seth Godin. This is marketing book that like really blew my mind in regards to marketing, and not just trying to hoard as many people as you can, but actually catering to the people that really care about what you're doing and growing a community. Yeah, again, social media tells you to have massive amounts of numbers, but actually you want to cater to less people. And this is what's great about your channel. Even though, you have less subscribers, the quality of your subscriber is much higher, because you're such a niche thing. Like,
yeah,
the people are going to love, like me. I'm a prime example of your target customer who absolutely loves what you're doing and learns from every one of your videos and podcasts. And it's great. Absolutely great.
Yeah, I would say even with just 3,500 subscribers, I mean, YouTube still probably brings in, I have to look at the exact numbers, but if I had to guess, somewhere between 40 to 60,000 a year in clients probably
That's
come
amazing.
from YouTube.
That's
So not
awesome.
the majority, but a good chunk for sure. And that's with a real small channel. And that, yeah, because it's focused, and then the economics of my business make it to where I don't, you don't have to have a gazillion people paying you. I only need a couple,
Mm.
and I hit my number. Well, cool, man. Well, hey, thanks so much for doing this. I will let you get back to work.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Take care.